Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we are building this rustic castle here in the beautiful world of Bellacord that came with the new Royalty and Legacy pack. This build was actually inspired by a picture that I saw online, but I ended up kind of just doing my own thing, and this build ended up being pretty inspired by the items that came with the castle, what is it, castle retreat kit or something. I forget the name of the kit, I'm really sorry. Is it castle restoration or something? I don't know, it came out like 3 years ago at this point. So I used a lot of items from that kit, and I also used a lot of this wallpaper, a lot of this new wallpaper that came with Royalty and Legacy. It has kind of like this like stone texture with like this smudged edges that I thought looked really nice and rustic, and that's basically what I wanted to show off in this build is the wallpaper. The original inspiration image that I saw had kind of like these rounded turrets that were really hard to replicate in The Sims 4 because we don't really get to make smaller curved rooms. That would have been awesome, but at the moment it's not really possible, so I just ended up focusing on the wallpaper as well as kind of like the gothic details and arches that came with the castle kit. So the shape of this actually ended up being really similar to a build that I did for a different game called Tiny Glade. I think that came out like 2 years ago at this point, which is insane because I feel like I did that build yesterday. But I did a build in Tiny Glade inspired by Chateau de Milan in France. And the shape of this build kind of looks really similar to that, with like the central tower and kind of like this arcade to the left side. It has kind of like these really beautiful arches. And also this build has a moat as well, which was inspired by the 2005 Pride and Prejudice movie with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend it. It is such a good movie. Really love it. So yeah, this place has a moat as well. And yeah, I imagine this as kind of like the country home of an old family that probably spends most of their time in the city, but they live here during some parts of the year when, you know, like school is out or something like that, basically. So I was considering using CC in this build, but I ended up not doing so. But I did use a lot of packs. Like, this by no means is a limited pack build. I used so many packs. It's actually pretty crazy. And before I forget, this build ended up having 3 bedrooms. There is an attic bedroom, but it's basically just a storage area with a sleeping bag. There's a whole lore that's attached to this, by the way, so just pointing that out. But yeah, officially this build has 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. So I was thinking of making this kind of like a royalty, like I wanted to include a throne room and stuff like that. But I ended up not using a lot of gameplay items from the royalty pack just because they really clashed with the rustic aesthetic that I was going for. So if you want to, you can convert one of the rooms into a throne room. The original throne room for this build was supposed to be the Great Hall, but that one ended up being just a normal living room. But initially, when I was in the planning stages for this build, that's where I thought I was gonna put like the throne. Yeah, this build isn't necessarily for a royal family, but they're definitely like an old family, you know, like an old money family. So anyway, right now we are working on the moat, which actually took me much longer than I expected because I use a lot of terrain manipulation, and that can get pretty time consuming. This build actually also has 2 functional bridges. As you can see, we are working on one right here. And yeah, these are fully functional. It's really funny because I made it so that the bridge looked like a car can drive past it. So hopefully it's wide enough for at least one car. And I swear there's like, I feel like there's another version of this bridge somewhere in debug. I might be wrong, but I ended up using the one from high school years. I swear there's like another version of this build from somewhere in debug that doesn't have the graffiti on the side, because if you saw on the side of this bridge there's like some graffiti artwork, and I didn't want that initially, but I couldn't find the other version of this bridge. If it exists, or it might be all in my head, I don't know, somebody might have to confirm that. I might be wrong on that, by the way. But I definitely remember, like, in, you know, the deepest, darkest recesses of my head, that there's another version of this bridge. But yeah, I couldn't find it for some reason. I spent like 2 hours looking for it in a debug. Okay, maybe not 2 hours, like maybe 30 minutes or something like that. But yeah, I gave up and I ended up using the bridge from high school years. But yeah, I am actually spending a lot of time kind of like just refining the edges of this moat, because I wanted it to look like it was supported by these retaining walls. And that kind of like messed up with the retaining walls alignment. So I had to like go back and like redo the heights for these using the tool mod. It was really annoying. I wish they just stayed in place, but that wasn't gonna happen. But I'm really happy with the end result. There's like this orange rock texture on like the moat, which is gonna get covered up later on. Apparently that's just the default like rock texture here in Bellacord. So yeah, it's pretty annoying because it's not the nicest looking texture, but overall I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. We are spending quite a lot of time on this moat, and I definitely edited quite a bit of it out, as you guys will see. This is a pretty long build in case you haven't noticed yet, but I wanted to include as much of the footage as I can without making it boring or too long, because it is actually hard to make really long videos now because I'm recording in 4K, and that just takes so much time to render and to process, and also to upload. So yeah, I try to, you know, make the videos as short as possible, but at the same time, you know, if it's a large build like this one, or if there's like a lot of detail, I also won't really hesitate to make it as long as it needs to be, basically. So hopefully you guys enjoy all of these like detail work, because it's actually really satisfying to watch. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm watching it right now and I'm like smoothing the terrain, and it's like really satisfying actually. But I did cut out a lot of the landscaping just because it's just a lot of footage of me placing items and all of that stuff. So yeah, actually, before I forget, I hate that I'm just remembering it now that we're quite a ways into the video, but I actually just released a CC set on Patreon. I didn't use any CC in this build, as I mentioned earlier, but I did release like a Marie Antoinette Petit Trianon inspired set on Patreon. It's a bedroom set because I'm planning to do a build. It's a CC build that is going to be using that set. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin the surprise, but I'm going to be using that set in a future build. So please keep an eye out for that. And if you're interested in some Louis the 16th style furniture, you can go ahead and check out the Patreon. It's currently up for early access, and it'll be available for public release on March 28th. Because I gave myself the, you know, self-imposed deadline of uploading something on the Patreon for February, and I literally was working on that set until like the last minute. So I'm really happy that I was able to put something out. It's a small set, it's like 10 items, but you know, really happy with what I came out with, because that set does have a lot of detail. You know, it's a Louis the 16th set, so you know, it's like kind of like Rococo neoclassical, and yeah, really happy with all of the items for that. So if you guys are interested, you guys can check that out on my Patreon. But right now, we are working on the interior, and I would say the main focal point of the interior is actually the Great Hall. So I did this whole kind of like open balcony. If I'm not mistaken, it's called like a minstrel's gallery or something like that in like medieval architecture. You definitely see a lot of these in like more medieval themed shows like The Tudors or like yeah, the Borgias. Actually, no, because the Borgias is set in Italy, and that, yeah, we're gonna get to that. You know where this is leading to, if you guys, if you know, you know. But yeah, we have a little minstrel's gallery that overlooks the Great Hall, and like I said earlier, the Great Hall is where the throne is supposed to be. I didn't like any of the swatches for the thrones that came with Royalty and Legacy, so I just ended up making it into a generic living room. I do like the fireplace that comes with Royalty and Legacy though, so I did use that quite a bit in this build, and I'm just figuring out like the layout because I wanted to include as many rooms as I can, because this is a castle, so you're gonna want to have like as many rooms as possible, right? So there is actually a TV room in the tower, which can also be converted into an extra bedroom. So in total, you can actually have like 5 bedrooms and more than 3 bathrooms, because the ground floor has kind of like a storage mechanical room area. I want to say it's a pantry, but I also put like a water heater in there, like a functional water heater that came with Eco Lifestyle, and I'm not sure if that is necessarily a good idea to have in your pantry. So we're gonna call it like a storage area for now. And there's also like a laundry area. I told you guys I used a lot of packs in this build. So there's also a laundry room. If you want to convert the laundry room into a powder room, you can do that. And if you need like a space for like a servant's room or like a butler's room, you can make the storage room into the butler's room. Yeah, one thing that really surprised me actually is that I used this wallpaper from For Rent actually, and to me it reminded me so much of like medieval paneling for some reason, because I feel like Sims 4 sucks at wood paneling. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's really not a lot of in-game wood paneling that I like. All of them just look really cartoony, and the ones that look realistic just don't have any good swatches. Like, I know there's one wood paneling from Discovery University that I like, but the swatches are just pretty bad. And there's also one from Vampires that has like this, you know, gold and silver detail. Again, don't really like that. But these ones from For Rent to me reminded me so much of like medieval paneling, so I ended up using these. And I also noticed that in a lot of like medieval like great halls, usually the lower part of the room has like the wood paneling, and then the upper part just has like the plaster. So that's kind of like what I recreated with the upper part of this room. I used a couple of items from the Lost Legacies timed event thing. I don't really do those, but I did get into kind of like the gameplay of Royalty and Legacy. So as I was playing my Royal Sims, I also just went ahead and got them to do like the Lost Legacies event. And I think I got as far as like the easel item, or I might have gotten farther. I think I've finished all of the quests for like the Dambella household. And then I think I just started on the quest for Cordelia's storyline or whatever. So yeah, I was also really pleasantly surprised to see a lot of these new items from base game actually. I think these are like African inspired items, and I absolutely love them. They look so gorgeous, and I use them all throughout this build as well. Really impressed with the quality of those items in particular because they look so good, and the new rug is really beautiful as well. And I also placed a lot of like real living plants. I don't know what they're actually called, but these are the ones that came with Enchanted by Nature. I think they're living plants, right? The ones that you have to like water and stuff. So yeah, I used quite a lot of those in this build actually. I think most of the indoor plants are like those living plants or whatever they're called. I'm really sorry guys, like I have not been playing a lot of The Sims 4. I've just mostly been building, and I've actually just mostly been doing my own thing. You guys know that I've recently been doing a lot of CC for the game, like a lot of my own personal CC. So that's like what I'm mainly focused on. I don't really get updated that much on like all of the latest news and happenings because I kind of just do my own thing basically. Yeah, speaking of just doing my own thing, I have just finished watching season 4 of Bridgerton, and I think it started out really good. I really liked the first part of it, but by the time we got to the second half of it, the show kind of like lost momentum for me, and I didn't like the ending. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't really like the ending. So yeah, right now I'm watching Young Sherlock. I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes, but it's been pretty good so far. You know, whenever I watch a new show or like I watch a movie, I am pretty open-minded. You know, I tend to keep an open mind whenever I watch something new. So I'm really enjoying Young Sherlock so far. For Valentine's Day, actually, I went out with my best friend and we watched Wuthering Heights. And we both enjoyed it. I know it's getting like a lot of hate online, but we actually really enjoyed it. I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with like the whole experience of watching it because we watched it in the cinema. And we both really enjoyed it actually. We don't have any like prior knowledge about the story of Wuthering Heights or anything, but we both really enjoyed it actually. So anyway, I'm bringing this up because the attic bedroom is kind of like this Heathcliff, you know, Thief Lord inspired bedroom that is actually more of like a secret hiding place, I want to say, because in Wuthering Heights, Heathcliff lives in like the loft of a barn. And if you guys saw this movie like back in like the mid 2000s, there's this movie called Thief Lord with Rolo Weeks, I believe is the name of the main character in that. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think, when he was younger, was also in it. But in that movie, they're kind of like a group of kids. This is an adventure movie, by the way, directed by the person who directed the first 2 Harry Potter films. But it's an adventure movie, and they live in an abandoned theater, if I'm not mistaken. It's literally been 20 years since I've seen this film, so I might be wrong. I might be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure they live in an abandoned theater in Venice. Hello, love it. That was kind of like the inspiration for the attic bedroom because as I mentioned earlier, the owners of this place don't really live here like all throughout the year. So in my head canon, in the lore that I came up with, they have a neighbor that sneaks in here and kind of just lives in the attic while the family isn't here. I'd like to think that the kids know about this neighbor that sneaks into their house and they kind of like befriend him. This is like a Heathcliff story, by the way. So, yeah, basically, they don't tell their parents about him. And yeah, he lives in the attic. The TV room is kind of like the off limits area for the parents. And above that is like the attic bedroom. So somebody secretly lives there. I don't know, that's just my little storyline for why I put like a sleeping bag in the attic. But if you guys want to, you can convert it into something else. Like the TV room could easily be converted into an extra bedroom. And if you want to, you can convert the attic into kind of like a skill room. I would like to have made it into like an astronomy room with like a telescope and stuff, because I do that in quite a couple of my builds. But the telescope doesn't work indoors, which is really annoying. I think you can put the telescope in the Sims inventory and they'll carry it around when they go outside or whatever. But yeah, the only thing that I wish I could have done differently in this build is actually the archway from the dining room to the kitchen, actually, because I think it's way too big. And I would have preferred to put a door there, but none of the doors in game really worked for what I wanted. I know there's like a smaller door that came with like the castle kit, but it didn't quite work for this room for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, normally I wouldn't like to have, the kitchen be this open to the dining room, especially for like such a regal looking house like this one. But I feel like we can give it a pass because the archway is beautiful. And I think it kind of keeps that gothic style consistent throughout the house. So, yeah. I did watch Heated Rivalry last month, but it still hasn't fully left my system yet. I am so obsessed with it, you guys. Like, my algorithm is full of Heated Rivalry at the moment, and it hasn't fully left my system yet. Not that I'm complaining. I love watching the interviews with Hudson Williams and Connor Story. They are so funny and unhinged. I absolutely loved it. And I actually subscribed to Dan and Phil's Patreon just to watch their reaction for the Heated Rivalry TV show because, like I said, I need more content. I'm so sad that we aren't getting anything until next year. There are rumors that they're gonna film kind of like a movie or something. It might be Scott and Kip or something. Okay, so this is where the Borges mentioned from earlier comes in because one of the characters in that show is Francois Arnault, which we all know and love from the Borges, which was a TV show that came out like a really, really long time ago in the early 2010s. I remember it coming out around the time when Downton Abbey was at its peak. This is like peak prestige TV, you guys. And this is where we all know and love Francois Arnault from. I know we all watched the series and we were all really sad that it got canceled. It's like 3 seasons, by the way. So if you guys are interested in checking out a period drama with a bit of a unusual setting, because we don't really see a lot of period dramas that are set in like not medieval. We don't really see a lot of period dramas that are set in Renaissance Italy. There are like some that revolve around the Medicis, but this one revolves around the Borgias actually. So I need more Heated Rivalry content, you guys. Like Hudson Williams and Connor Story's online footprint is massive because before they did Heated Rivalry, they did a lot of like Hudson Williams has a lot of like short films. And it's so good because you can see, actually Connor Story has like a YouTube channel from when he was like a teenager, and he posted like some really adorable videos about wanting to be an actor. It's so cute, you guys. And oh my gosh, this show has totally consumed me because I had dinner with a bunch of my friends. Like there were like 14 of us, and I would not shut up about Heated Rivalry. I was like I was such an ambassador. I was such an advocate for Heated Rivalry. So hopefully I got some of them to watch it because I need to, talk to somebody about it. I don't know what it is about this show, but there's something about it that's just so wholesome. And it's really funny because as a fan of Yuri on Ice, when that show came out, like a really long time ago as well, it's really funny now that I feel like it's come full circle with the fandom. Like the kids who like Yuri on Ice back in 2016 are now the adults that are into Heated Rivalry. If you didn't watch Yuri on Ice, it's like a Japanese anime where a Japanese figure skater falls in love with a Russian figure skater. Sounds familiar? Okay. So Heated Rivalry, they are hockey players, so there's a bit of a difference, but it's like the spiritual successor because you feel the vibes of Yuri on Ice in Heated Rivalry, and it's so good to see like this crossover for like this fandom that we all know and love. And I'm just really, really happy that Yuri on Ice is finally getting the attention it deserves because unfortunately, there was supposed to be a movie that got canceled because they kept waiting and waiting and waiting to make it. I know it kept getting delayed for some reason, and by the time I think they were ready to make it, the hype for the show just wasn't there anymore, So that's pretty frustrating. I've also been seeing quite a bit of like Banana Fish and Heated Rivalry. Oh, actually, I think it's because of Love Through a Prism, which was another anime that came out on Netflix. And the main guy looks so much like Ash Lynx from Banana Fish, so that's probably why this is being recommended on my algorithm. But if you guys are looking for like a more wholesome, kind of like artsy show that revolves around art, it's about a Japanese girl who goes to Victorian England to study art, and it's so cute, so wholesome. There's like some pretty serious stuff in it as well, but I think it takes place in like the early 1900s, pretty sure. So not Victorian, Edwardian. But yeah, it's so wholesome and I love it. It's giving a lot of like Boys Over Flowers vibes for some reason. There's like an episode where they gave her a makeover and it gave me like Boys Over Flowers vibes. Also kind of like the love triangle. I don't know. It's really cute. And it's nice to see a show that revolves around arts because I went to art school and I feel like I've always been missing anime that revolves around this particular subject. I remember really liking Blue Period when it came out, and that anime was just so good at capturing like the pressure and the emotional turmoil that art students go through. It's actually so good and so underrated. It's only one season, like 12, 13 episodes, but it's so good at capturing kind of like that anxiety that you'll get because when you're in art school you kind of like have to compete against your classmates in a very subjective medium. Like how can you properly give a grade to a piece of art, right? So they kind of deal with this in Love Through a Prism and also in Blue Period, and I really, really love that. Wish more anime would tackle this, but I'm really happy with what we've gotten so far. And if you guys have any show recommendations, please let me know, because at the moment I'm watching Young Sherlock. I've heard a lot of good stuff about this medical show. I forgot what it's called. The Pit. I saw the trailer and I saw like an open heart surgery in the trailer, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this because I watch TV shows to unwind usually like after work, and I'm not sure if that's something that I'm really ready for. Like I've watched like ER shows before, but yeah, you guys feel free to like recommend me if you have any like show recommendations. I'm pretty open to anything. Let me know what you think of Wuthering Heights because my best friend and I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I might actually like do like a farm build that has like a Heathcliff inspired sim. But yeah, other than that, my best friend has been really obsessed with Stardew Valley recently, so I had to like look up my old Stardew Valley save file, I guess, because I created like all of the houses and all of the characters. This was back in 2018, by the way, so this isn't updated whatsoever, but I was like, if you want to marry some of them in your Sims 4 game, you can just download some of the pre-made ones that I did for my Stardew Valley save. So yeah, it's been a pretty eventful past couple of weeks. But yeah, anyway, I didn't really talk that much about the landscaping, but as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. A lot of it just has to do with hiding all of the rough edges on the moat. Oh, also the bridge at the back got replaced. I initially used the same bridge that I used in front, the one from high school years, but I ended up changing it. I think the one that I used is from Life and Death. It's the wooden one. And in front, I didn't really know what to do, so I just put like a parterre or like a formal garden. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. You know, let me know what you guys think. And if you have any recommendations for future builds, please let me know as well. And please keep an eye out for the CC build that I'm planning to put out soon. Once I finish everything in my backlog that should be coming out. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this build. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.